The NAACP and the Tea Party. First, here in the studio, Benjamin Jealous. He is the president of the NAACP. He's in the studio with us this morning. In New York is David Webb, who is the National Tea Party Federation with that group and is also the co-founder of Tea Party 365. Mr. Jealous, you raised a lot of eyebrows when when your organization passed a resolution condemning, and you were careful to say not the Tea Party itself, but elements of the Tea Party for racism. Why did you find that necessary, and what actually were you trying to do?
Well, we started out, we were at our big gathering in the Show Me State. Each year we gather once a year. We were debating 75 issues. One issue, this issue, had come up from our folks there. The Council of Conservative Citizens, a group that says that black people are not equipped to participate in democracy, was there in the state saying, join the Tea Party, we're active in it, we have great influence. That raised eyebrows. Folks looked around the country, they saw a person running down south, running as a writing candidate for governor, stating that they didn't want people of color in this country, period, claiming broad Tea Party support. You had somebody running out in the state of Nevada for Senate saying that if things don't go her way, she wants to consider Second Amendment remedies. Mm-hmm. And then in the midst of all this, you have their leaders like Dale Robertson in Texas of 1776 Tea Party with his racist signs. You have racist signs at their events. And you also...
and so that led you to...
Yeah, I mean, all of that together had us very concerned. But again, it's one of 75 resolutions. It's half a page of a 42-page speech, primarily focused on jobs and getting this country moving towards jobs.
But if it were one of three resolutions, obviously there are some people that were in the Tea Party that you couldn't blame them for taking some exception to that. Mr. Webb, what's your reaction to that?
Well, my first reaction is that if you look selectively, you, Bob, can find, single examples in any movement. There are fringe elements. Dale Robertson has been discredited and has been denounced and is not a Tea Party member. Mark Williams is not a Tea Party leader, although he's perceived as such by some in the media and by Mr. Jealous. 3, he's being a little bit disingenuous. He did, in his press release, which sits right here, denounce racist Tea Party leaders and bigoted elements. So he spoke to Americans at large who are in the Tea Party movement and tried to tie it all together. And what I have a serious objection with is his selective condemnation of racism when he will not condemn the new Black Panther Party for saying that they want to kill crackers and kill cracker babies, whereas he would condemn the KKK or any element that shows up and claims that they are a part of the Tea Party.
Well, it does seem to me that part of what this is about is he's saying to you, you really need to police your organization, and that some of these signs, we've seen them that have shown up at some of these parties, really are objectionable. What are you doing about that?
Well, we have, and that's a very good question. We, in the last 24 hours, have expelled Tea Party Express and Mark Williams from the National Tea Party Federation because of the letter that he wrote, which he, I guess, may have considered satire, but which was clearly offensive. And that is what we do. Self-policing is the right and the responsibility of any movement or organization. I denounce any acts that I see, many leaders do, and for Mr. Jealous to say that these elements, when millions have been out there, represent the Tea Party is blatantly false, and they're simply playing the race card.
Mr. Jealous?
David, first of all, I want to say thank you. You are the only National Tea Party leader who I've seen come out and publicly state the things that you stated, and taking on Mark Williams was much appreciated. I find it a bit disappointing that they keep just putting you out, that we don't hear from Dick Armey, the grandfather of the movement.
He's not the grandfather of the Tea Party. Be realistic and not.
David, I didn't talk over you. Show me the same respect. How about that? And we find it, the reality here is that The new Black Panther Party is like, 12 people, 13 people. They don't say these things at the NAACP. If they did, we would take them on. I said 3 times on a show with you last week, so hear me this time. We, biggest come in all colors. We don't, we absolutely denounce the new Black Panther Party, but they aren't in our group. These folks are in your groups, and you're the only one up there in New York who's saying anything. Let the folks come out and say things nationally. I talked to you about Tea Party members who belong to the NAACP, who stand with us, who were there saying, please get these folks out of our party. It will improve the party. Thank you for taking action in the last 24 hours. But you're also being disingenuous when you say that a man who's the founder of Tea Party Express, who's on TV as their national spokesman, hasn't been a Tea Party leader. He absolutely was. And he was the day that he wrote that vile note penned in my name saying that President Lincoln was the biggest racist ever because slavery was a good gig. So thank you for following through. I think you would, I sort of did you a favor to draw this guy out.
Let me just ask both of you something. In the New York Times this morning, a very interesting story quoting Newt Gingrich, of all people, who is aware of the problems going on between your two organizations. And he says, you know what I think you ought to do? He said, I think the two of you ought to hold some joint town hall meetings around the country. He said, because you have a lot of things in common. Number one being getting people back to work and people who are worried about the economy. What about that? Is Newt Gingrich on to something here? Is there something to be gained?
Let's talk about the issues.
What would you think?
Let's talk about the issues. As there is with me and David, there should be no racism, so no debate about racism. That should just be done, and the rest of them should follow suit and do what he's doing.
Mr. Webb, what about you?
About the issues.
Would you be interested in holding joint meetings, joint forums around the country with the NAACP to talk about some things that you might have in common?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're not only interested in doing that, we were ahead of this before the NAACP story broke, and I broke it on my show at SiriusXM, took it to the people. We had already planned an event July 31st in Philadelphia, and that will be on Independence Mall, called Unity. And that event is to speak to the black community and the minority communities. And I'll take it a step further, Bob, that 3 men are in a pivotal and powerful position on race relations in this nation. President Obama, with the Beer Summit, he has made his statements. Obama, Eric Holder, and a nation of cowards. And you, Mr. Jealous, as president of the NAACP. Think what it would mean to this nation if we would have an open forum and a real summit, a real tea summit instead of a beer summit on race relations.
All right. We have about 30 seconds left. I'm going to give you time to answer. Will you join him in doing that?
Well, I think I have plans that day, but we can certainly plan something, absolutely. But, David, look, we have gotten death threats across the country since we asked you guys to expel these folks from your ranks.
All right.
If we asked the NAACP to expel the Klan wouldn't call and complain.
All right.
Deal with it, David. Keep on dealing with it.
Time's up. Thanks to both of you. Very helpful. Back in a minute.